kind of short and exciting.
Yay! So they're excited.
And I guess the best way to talk about what a net is, if you were making a box that would fold into a solid, what that shape would be. Actually kind of a fun sort of thing there. I will give you an example here in just a second. If I can find one here. Sure, why not? Here is the deal. This is what a net is. It's not a net from a jello. Let's say you've got this solid here, this rectangular prism. Okay, I'll draw it three-dimensionally here. Here's the front of it. It's all about this wide. Looks a little like that. There's your three-dimensional box there. A net would be, if you flatten this out, and by the way, there's more than one way really to do this, and they do have to do it when they build these boxes. If you look at this piece of cardboard that they build this out of, it originally came from one piece of cardboard, except we would, if we were doing it, we wouldn't do it like they did because we're not going to get that crazy. Because they need to make it like this so you can open the box and be able to close it so that you can reseal it, but we don't need to do that. Hold on just a second. I have done this before. Somewhere here, like right here, there is a seam. See, when they formed this box, and here is pretty much what we call the net of this thing. Okay, it would look like this. Let me shrink this so I give myself a little bit of room.
The box.
Yeah, I see that, Rockwell. So here would be the deal. And you can start with really any piece you want. Let's start with this front. Let's start with this front right here. So I would draw this rectangle, that's the front. Okay. Attached to the front, okay, is the right side. So you would put, here's the right side, it's about that thick. And then attached to the right side is the back, which would be this piece here. Okay. And then attached to that is the back, the side opposite the right side, which would kind of be the left side. You got this side and then this side. And by the way, it doesn't matter. I could have put this connected over here, because either way it gets connected to make a box. What am I missing now? If I put this together, I get the outsides of the box. Now I just need the top and the bottom. And you could put the top here and the bottom here. And if you took that, drew that on a piece of paper, cut it out, and folded it along those lines, you're going to end up with this shape here. This is the net of that. Okay. And there's a whole science to that. Every box that you see was designed in the form of a net. And like I said, this one's more complicated because, you know, they want to put tabs on it so that when you open it, you can reclose it and tuck it back in there. You know, you can do different things. But we're only going to deal with the simple nets. And the reason why we would do nets, does anybody know what we do nets for? Nets are primarily used because we're going to find what?
Surface.
Surface area. Because if you find the area of all the pieces of the net, you get its total surface area. And that's really where they come into play for us. But it is interesting for you to think about it. For example, if you have a cone, let's say that's our solid, what would the net of a cone look like? Somewhere here I have a cone, I know I do. It's fine. here's a cone. All right. Well, you know, attached to the bottom is going to be a circle. Okay, and then attached to that is going to be something. What would, if I were designing a piece of paper or a cardboard that could be folded into a cone, how do I get this little round cone-ish looking thing there? Rockwell?
It would sort of be like two triangles connected. So then
Sort of. Let's actually do it here. See if I can figure it out here. I'm going to do that. I'm going to fold it so I can cut it. Well, that wasn't very good. Now, hold on a second. We'll do this. Patience, kid, patience. Okay, here is my cone. I didn't have that folded. That'd be better. If you take a cone and cut through one side of it and lay it flat, that is what it looks like. Oh, it would look like that. Let me just tell you what it looks like. I'm not so sure why I did that. It should have come to a point, and I don't know why it didn't. I'll get back at me on that. Now I can't find my pen. What it would look like would be this. If you slice this right here and then unfolded it, okay, you end up with a shape that looks like this. Okay, this would wrap around the bottom and come together there. I think, anyways, let me look at it. It is in the book. It's in the book here somewhere. Yeah. It's there. Actually, this side is a little curvier. This side actually is curved. This is the net of a cone. Looks like a light lamp.
It can be. It looks like an elf.
It is there. The net of a cylinder was really pretty simple. Or a can, and you could do this at home. If you had a piece of whatever. You know that you've got two circles, one on top, one on bottom, and then if you cut the label off a can, which I'm sure you've done, what do you get? A rectangle. Okay, that is what the net of a cylinder would look like with this being. It's going to be cold all week. Let's do one more just for fun. I'm going to have you do this one. See if you can imagine what this hexagonal pyramid.
Oh.
If you were doing, let me draw it up here for you. Here's my pyramid. Sketch me what you think. Sketch me what you think the net of this would be. In other words, if you were designing a piece of cardboard into a hexagonal pyramid, what would it look like? What would it look like? Don't forget the bottom. And by the way, there again is a bunch of different ways to do this. I'll tell you in a second. You just have to use your imagination. And you have no imagination.
You sound big.
Some of you don't know how to draw a hexagon, I know that.
The imagination can't do
Here is kind of the gist. This is the way many of you drew it, and this is perfectly okay. You know you've got this hexagon, so that's a good start. Okay, and then off of that hexagon, most of you did this. You've got, you know, if you cover up everything, you just have these triangles coming off. Triangle, 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 triangle. Another way you probably could have done it, you didn't have to do the star kind of like that. You probably could have done this, rather than having all the sides attached to the hexagon, you could have one side attached to it and then all the rest of the sides kind of wrapping around that side, and then put the bottom in when you're finished with it. Something like this, not exactly like that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That would be another way to show that. You know, you could have connected these two sides together and come up with something, but that pretty much is the whole story on the nets. So when they ask you to sketch a net of a cube, you should be able to really do it. Oh, you know what else they ask you? Oh, I don't see where they talk about it though. Sketch the top back, it might take you. Let's just talk about this too. This comes out of the book, and I'm not sure they talk about it, but let's do this here. Let's say you've got this triangular prism.
Jeez.
Here's my three-dimensional shape, and for those of you that someday might go into drafting or architecture or something, you have to see this. They're going to ask you questions like this. If I asked you to draw the view of this shape from the top, what would you see? If it is this triangular prism, by the way, this would be the top. Looking at it straight down from the top, what would you see? Lucas?
The rectangle.
Yep, that's all you would see would be this top rectangle that looks like this. You would not be able to see, you wouldn't see this edge because it's covered up by that edge. It would just look like that. What would you see if you were asked to sketch just the right side? Just the right side, you would see just what, Nikikawa?
Triangle.
This is the front.
Oh.
Front.
Oh. So there's no
Right side is there. What is it, Jeremy? It's this side. It's this rectangle back here that is this by this.
But there's no left side.
That's the right side. There is no left side. And if you're asked just to sketch the front of it, it would just be that front triangle like you were looking at it from the front. You wouldn't see anything else. I don't know why they asked you what they do. Well, that's neither here nor there.